Brent Hagenbuch, former Denton County Republican Party Chair and now candidate for Senate District 30. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So why do you want to be state senator for District 30?
Sure, yeah. You know, actually, I had never planned on running for office. I was just trying to get other people, good folks elected, good conservative, godly people elected. But it's for the same reason I'm running, the same reason I got involved in the Republican Party was I was just concerned about the country, where it was going. Particularly got really concerned during the Obama administration that just people didn't have my worldview, or I think what the founding fathers had, which I think is a Christian worldview, and what the country was built on. We're trying to tear it down intentionally. And I was motivated by Trump, a businessman who identified with him, a businessman who was going to get in and cut through bureaucracy and really fight for the Republican Party. So that was about 9 years ago. I just jumped in to be a precinct chair, and then one thing led to another. I ended up being the Denton County Republican Party chairman. Like I say, just trying to get good folks elected. When Drew Springer decided not to run, I was supportive of him, the current senator. A number of folks came to me and talked to me about it and asked whether I'd be interested. I prayed about my wife and thought, you know, I'm almost working this full time right now. I think I can make a bigger impact. Thought back about my background and thought, you know, I think I'm well prepared for this. And I think this is an important time in the state and the country for we in the conservative movement to move forward. So I went ahead and made the move.
Why should Republicans and others vote for you in the May 28th runoff instead of your opponent?
Sure, yes. Well, I think they can see if they look at my record. I've been committed to the Republican Party for many years, almost a decade now, working for everything from precinct chair to county chair. And then looking at my background as well, what I've been able to accomplish in life. You know, Naval Academy graduate, 13 years active duty, CB company commander. And then we started a business here in Denton 17 years ago, which is now one of the 100 top trucking companies in the country. So I think just a matter of experience and capability compared to my opponent is vastly different. And really my time in the Republican Party, my opponent hasn't really been seen until he decided to run, shows my commitment for our conservative cause.
And you've been endorsed by former President Donald Trump, Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Senator Cornyn. What does that say about your campaign, do you believe?
Yeah, what it says is that people have looked at that background, understood that I was committed to the Republican Party for many years, saw the military background, saw the business background, and I've worked in the party long enough to get to know people. I think it's from my reputation that them know me personally, many of them, and then just looking at my background, realizing that I'm really well suited to be a senator. And I think in talking to them, they understood my level of commitment to achieving our conservative agenda.
As you probably know, 76 Republican Party leaders in Denton County have been critical of you and your leadership. How do you respond to that?
Sure, yes. Well, there's that many or more as well that I think are supportive of me. So before I came into the party, as the chairmanship, there was a divide, and there is in other parts of the state as well. It's hard to be the county chair in any kind of leadership position. I've been over the years and make everybody happy. I think those folks have been misled with some things. For example, there's something that says I bankrupted the Denton County Republican Party. That's not true. You can check for yourself. I think there's $70,000 in the bank right now. And I helped set up a PAC where we have about $150,000 in that PAC. That PAC's sole purpose is to support the Denton County Republican Party. So there's a lot of stuff in there that's not substantiated. I think those people are misled. But I have a lot of precinct chairs you can look and see I've worked with for years that know me and know the truth and are supportive.
Your opponents in the March 5th primary challenged your eligibility to be able to run. Your opponent told me you're not eligible. So I want to give you the opportunity. I know there's a lawsuit that is still yet to go through the process and perhaps a trial. What is your response?
Sure, yeah, I'm absolutely resident and eligible to run just as much as my opponent is. We showed the documentation in the court when we signed the lease for the property that we're in now, well in advance of the time. When I changed my voter registration far before Drew Springer ever even told anybody he wasn't going to run. So I think the good Lord puts you where you're supposed to be, and I think this is an example of a number of things that lined up that told me that I should move forward with this. And in terms of the court cases, we've prevailed every time. They've taken it to court over and over again. This is a campaign tactic. I didn't realize that, but in talking to people, it's not uncommon for folks to try to use this. I think, if you have as many endorsements as I have and the kind of record I have, it's trying to find some way to tarnish that, and I think that's what's going on here.
I know you have said previously that, the voters this is a question for voters.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Not the courts. But I was wondering, are you just saying, just so I'm clear, you're saying that when you signed the lease for the trucking company, which is in Senate District 30, that is where you were going to live? I mean,
No, there's a separate lease for the apartment living space that we are in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
that was done October 3rd, I think, something like that. Yeah.
That's the apartment across the street from the office?
No, that's actually in the facility. It's a mixed-use facility. I think that's been confused. It certainly is. Yes, and the owner there had a quarters that was set up pretty well for a living facility, and that's the place we're at, and that's what I'm talking about.
And you said that you changed your
Voter registration. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when was that?
I think that was. I have to look at the exact date, but it was in advance of the time frame that is necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want to harp on all this. I just want to get your sense of it, because your opponent said that you still voted in Senate District 12 in the November election, 2023.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, and that was necessary because you had 30 days to change your voter registration time frame. So I did it the right way.
And so you changed it after?
Yes.
Okay. And so now I want to ask you about your top 3 priorities if you're elected.
You bet, yes. First and foremost, I think everyone knows has to be we've got to secure the border. I mean, the fentanyl that's coming across is a scourge on our youth. We have trafficking. Everybody knows how bad it is, and it's just gotten worse. I think in the Biden administration, something like 10 million illegals have come over. That's like the size of the 8th largest state. It's just become ridiculous. And I'm very proud of Governor Abbott. He's standing up to the federal government and to Biden. I think, and I read the Constitution. I think a state has the right and responsibility to do that. And we in Texas need to secure our own border and finish that job. $6 billion was allocated in the last session. I don't think Texans should have to pay that kind of money, but for this one, and I'm a small government, low tax kind of person, but in this one case, I think I would vote for whatever it takes to secure the border. That means barriers, walls, manpower, technology, all those kinds of things. And SB 4, I think, is a great bill. It's being challenged in the liberal courts, but it gives our law enforcement the opportunity to take illegals who come in and basically charge them and deport them. We need to get that law in place and use it. So that's the number one priority, I believe it is, for the state. And then secondly, I think school choice is a big important thing. I think that'll get passed in the next session. I think we parents need to have a choice of where their kids get educated, and particularly when the case is the school is pushing down a woke ideology on their children, they should be able to make a choice to go elsewhere. Now, I still support public schools very much. My wife was a school teacher. I believe we need to pay teachers well. I think in the last session, the Senate had $6 billion in the budget, which didn't get through the House. I believe we need to get that passed so we can pay our teachers well. Those are some of the big things. A couple of others would be I'm a big supporter of fully funding our law enforcement. That's important to me. SB 22, Drew Springer, the previous senator in this district, worked on that very hard with Lieutenant Governor. There's $350 million allocated for that, for rural sheriffs to be able to use for increasing deputy pay or communications or those kind of things. That was another important move forward. Some of the key things, I'm just big into making sure the Texas economy continues to run strong. Texans are impacted. Families have been hurt by the Biden administration's inflation. So we need to keep this economy running strong. I think I know how to do that as a businessman to help Texas families. Property tax reduction, I continue to work on that. And we need to work on the power grid as well.
So let's go back, and I want to ask you about SB 4. If the federal courts ultimately decide that it's unconstitutional, then what? What do you think Texas should do?
Yeah, I think we should go back and write the law and rewrite it until we find one that sticks.
How so?
How so? Well, I think there's been a lot of research done to try to make sure that it's going to be declared constitutional. So let's cross that bridge when we get there, but I think it's going to end up being constitutional and a helpful law for us.
Should property taxes be gradually eliminated? And if you believe so, where would you make up the revenue to fund schools, to fund state government?
I definitely believe that we can continue to cut property taxes, and we should, and probably through increasing the homestead exemption. I've talked to the Lieutenant Governor about this. I understand the budget. I think we'll have another surplus in this next session and an opportunity to do that. So I'm very much for continuing to cut property taxes. Cutting them to zero, the Lieutenant Governor has just put a study together to look into that. I think over time, that would be the goal. I'd like to see us do that, but that's about $60 billion. So you obviously can't do that immediately, and we would have to think about the places it would come from if we're going to do that. I think part of it can be trying to look where we can save and be more efficient in government, and that's one of the things I want to work on.
I wanted to also ask you about teachers. I mentioned a little bit before. Should they get a raise, and should that be clear and separate from school choice?
Well, yes, absolutely think they should, and I don't see why they should be wedded together. Yes, I think we should give the teachers a raise. I think they'll think they've kept up with inflation. That's why the Senate had the $6 billion allocated, so I believe we should pass that and give the teachers a raise. My wife is a teacher, like I said, and I think the world of them. They are doing an important job. We need to pay them fairly.
Where are you on this project in Grayson County? It's a cement kiln project.
Yes.
By Black Mountain Cement. TCEQ gave them a permit, but there's a lot of opposition.
Yes, there is. Well, you know that's where we did a great job in the state and in my district, SD 30, in getting TI to put a $34 billion chip plant there, and Global Wafers putting I think a $6 billion wafer plant across it. And that's important for the country, for manufacturing, and for this area. That plant could cause problems for that in terms of vibration, in terms of air quality. So I talked to the Lieutenant Governor about it just the other day. He actually, out of that and some other people talking to him, ended up going on Monday up to Grayson County and talking about it. And I think we need to find a way to do something different with that plant. And figure a different way so that that's not going to happen. We need to ensure we follow through on the project with the wafer plant and the chip plant and get that done.
So you don't support it?
I don't support the cement plant. I'd like to see us find a way to make that go away.
I did want to go back. I did have one other question just about the lawsuit on eligibility. What happens if ultimately, let's say you are elected and ultimately the lawsuit rules against you? Then what?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. If you talk to any, I'm not sure if you've done this, but please do talk to any election lawyer. That's not going to happen. We've prevailed every time we've gone to court so far, and we will prevail in the end. I'm definitely, if I'm elected, I will be your next District 30 senator. Anything else that you'd like to say? Yeah, well, I appreciate the time with you here today. I look forward to the opportunity to serve the people of SD 30 in the state. I'm passionate about what we're doing. I think I have a great background to serve the state well in terms of business background, in terms of military background, in terms of my commitment to the Republican Party and our conservative cause.
Brent Hagenbuch, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.